Okay, so one of my Twitter followers asked me to do some YouTube videos on the different accents that I can do after watching my show reel. So here we are. I do lots of different accents purely because my actual accent is a Geordie accent, and being an actress, generally, you need to be able to do a few accents because that gives you more scope for to play different roles. And having a Geordie accent does make you a very specific type. So I knew very early on that if I wanted to act, I better learn other accents. And one of the main accents that I needed to learn was an RP accent. RP means received pronunciation, meaning the other person can receive what you're saying. Slightly insulting to every other accent, but there we go. So RP is a standard English accent, a generic English, so you could be from any part of the country, but generally, because of the way the UK is, it tends to show your class. If you have a regional accent, it tends to mean that you probably working class. If you have a more clipped accent and more RP or standard English accent, it just tends to mean that you probably came from a little bit higher up the food chain. I think that's safe to say. So, RP. I have to warm my accent up slightly, I have to warm my mouth up, because when I'm doing another accent, obviously it's a completely different placement in my mouth. So it means that I have to work a lot more. When going from one accent into the other, sometimes you can have a few slip-ups because you're just in the transition. So please bear with me if I do have a few words that aren't particularly correct just for the first few moments, because I am just going into the accent. The big differences for me between an RP and a Geordie accent are how much I have to get my mouth around the words. I know from friends who tried to do a Geordie accent though that actually they find it very hard to pronounce the words in a Geordie accent, because actually they're quite hard to say as well. So it is across the board. When it's not your accent, it is different placement. So I find when doing RP, one of the things that I have to be particularly, certainly a certain vowel is O, because in an RP accent, O is O. So I'd say O. And in a Geordie, I'd say O. It would be right down here. A Geordie accent would be O. So the difference is quite substantial, as is the difference between the U, the letter U. So if I say cup in an RP accent, it's almost like saying cap, cup. In a Geordie accent, that would be cup. So the difference is quite substantial. So when I'm doing I have to be very, very careful with certain words. And actually, when I was younger, and I used to do a Saturday job in a cafe, I used to practice my accents. One of the things, obviously, you have to say when you work in a cafe is, would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of coffee? So it used to really help me to practice my accent. So it's a really good way of doing that. I also find after doing RP for a while that my jaw starts to hurt, because it's such a different placement that it actually feels pretty uncomfortable by the end of the day. So when I've done parts where I've had to do RP, it's pretty lovely to just get on the phone to my mum or my dad and just speak really, really Geordie. But other than that, I think I could safely pass for pass. Safely pass, not pass. Safely pass. Oh, damn. I could safely pass someone who is not from Newcastle. Obviously, when I'm doing it apart, I would make sure that every single syllable was perfect. But for the basis of this, I think it's pretty good. So there you go. There's my RP accent.